Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that I think a lot of the people in the market that are pushing the ideas of how to make quick money or where to invest or how to invest, they don't really tell you what it takes to ultimately achieve great wealth and the amount of efforts and things you need to do to reach high income. Okay. Now, when I say high income, and this might sound kind of ridiculous to some, and some might understand it, but I'm talking about around $1 million a year. Now, granted, anything over a quarter million is doing fantastic, generally speaking. I think the Biden tax plan is targeting anyone over $400,000. So clearly, if you're making over that amount, you're doing just fine. But for the high achievers that really want to hit the throttle and do amazing things from a number standpoint, I'm going to tell you what it takes, what I have learned that it takes to get there. And this is not something that I've always had. It's taken me 12 years to get to a point where I can say I've made an amount of money that I thought I would have saved in my late teens, early 20s for retirement, right? And I'm making that per year now. And it's been quite the journey. And so I'm going to give you a few secrets as to what, candidly, honestly, it takes to do that. And the first thing, as you can imagine, is anyone that gives you a get rich quick scheme or some lofty returns of investments, or if they know the trick to get you rich in a quick manner or whatever it may be, they're probably full of baloney. I mean, that's that's the bottom line. Okay. Now, in my portfolio, I have a number of companies. I own a number of assets in real estate. I own a lot of land. I develop land. I have a new business, a barbershop that I'm opening, and hopefully a chain of those. And I'm always looking for more and more ways to compound my earnings. And one thing that I tell my clients to do, and I tell a lot of people to do, is think about your life like a business. Okay. And if let's say you're starting today, this is year one. And if you have something as a stretch goal, every year you want to increase your income by, let's say, 20%. Well, every 3-4 years, you're going to be doubling your top line. Okay. So if you're starting at $100,000, in a matter of 8 years, you'll be making almost $500,000. Okay. So per year. Now, again, the more time you have, the larger the top line gets if you have these kind of goals. And ultimately, you have to become more strategic. You have to make bigger moves, take on bigger risks to begin to make more and more money. Okay. Now that all sounds great, but what is the real secret sauce? And there's a great book. Let me show you real quick. This is one that I absolutely think everyone should pick up. This is not a plug. This is just who, not how. This is something that had really changed my life. And when you realize that, if you own 4 or 5 companies like I do, and you're trying to scale up to maybe $1 million a year, all right? And that was my goal, is to hit $1 million a year in actual cash flow, right? Not just paper money. And to get there, I couldn't do it alone. And so this book does a great job of helping you understand, well, how can you build teams to help you get to your goal? And the first thing I do in the morning, another great book, and I reference this all the time, this book is a fantastic book to really open up the thinking that it takes to drive that needle forward, to really push that needle to a point to get you to high wealth earning, right? And a lot of it comes down to a few things. Number one, systems. Having everything documented, whether it be on videos, Google Sheets, Google Docs, you got to have systems in place. Monthly checks to make sure that you're doing things correctly, that you're aligning to your goals. Got to have that. Systems will be everything. That's why I push a lot, and you can find it in my description, hemlane.com, which is a centralized property management platform. If you have more than 2 properties, it's an absolute must that you have to have a platform like that to centralize everything. So, for example, that's just one item. Your banking. You should really have your banking centralized in one place. And again, how you'd use your banking. If you have properties, you should have an account for properties. If you have a personal life, you should have an account for personal life. If you have a business, you should have a business account to run things through. And things should be aligned systematically to everything, right? So systems are an absolute need across the board. Now, again, another thing to do that is the Who Not How book is who you're putting on your team, right? Admins, I went through many years where I would hire out of the Philippines, and they were fine, very polite, everything was great, about $7 an hour back then. And I had a hard time because it just, something was missing, right? And then I went to Ukraine, I tried there, I tried Brazil, And my focus was trying to save like $6 an hour. I could hire someone in the United States for $15, $16 an hour, but I was trying to save money. Well, I've now brought it all back to the United States. I'm paying most of my assistants and my managers around $20 an hour. Okay. And it's worth every penny. I have one assistant, Megan, who is absolutely fantastic. She is one of the gems of my team. And, a lot of the work that she does helps me focus, again, back to this book, on the needle moving items. Okay. So you got to be able to focus on the needle moving items. And to do that, you build systems that the who's manage. You don't manage the hows, you manage the people that manage the systems in place so that you can focus on the vision, on the big, risky, lofty goals to push that number higher and higher and higher. And you'll see if you don't do this, if you don't build this out, by the time you're around that $500,000 mark and you have 3 or 4 companies, you're going to have a chaotic life. Phone calls, almost everything, bill pay, bookings of travel, and trying to do your QuickBooks. You got to have someone to do all these monotonous things. And a quick rule of thumb is anything that's repetitive in nature, anything, should be with a who, not a how on your end, but a who should be doing that. You got to outsource those things. Okay. Another item that I think is really important is I took a step back and I said, okay, well, if my goal is, I'll still work, the 2,000 hours a year, I'll still do that, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, that's 2,000. If that's still my goal and I want to make $1 million per year, then I need to make $500 per hour. So no matter what it is, a real quick test is if any effort that I do, if my hourly rate is not at least $500, I don't do it. That $500 an hour is my benchmark. And I do some things with like charity and whatnot, and like the YouTube trainings that I give you all. I really do enjoy sharing the mistakes I've made and the journey I've been on and how I got here, because these are tried and true ways, right? Through a guy like me who came from literally nothing to where I am today, I've had to learn these things. And who knows, maybe one day I'll put it all in a book, but what I am telling you is systems, hire the right people, scale up, right? Check your balances, set your goals, and then peg yourself to an hourly rate that will be your benchmark for every decision you make when it comes to effort and money. Okay. So those are just 5 quick tips that I wish I had known 12, 13 years ago when I first started this journey of entrepreneurship. So I want to give you that, and I hope you're all doing very well. Thank you.